Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be tackling something really crucial today, bridging the clarity gap in instruction. We are going to unpack a pretty fascinating phenomenon. Why our beautifully crafted, seemingly perfect instructions in the classroom so often fail to produce the actions we actually want from our students. It happens to the best of us, so let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture the scene, right? You're standing at the front of the room. You deliver a set of instructions that you have thought through meticulously. You pause, you smile, you say go, and then absolute, utter chaos. Imagine you just ask your class to line up alphabetically by their first name. Sounds incredibly simple, but within 10 seconds, you've got a massive traffic jam of confused kids near the door, you have 3 students loudly arguing about whether C comes before K, and a quarter of the room is just staring blankly at the wall, completely paralyzed. It's a universal teacher frustration. You explained it perfectly, clearly, logically. You used your absolute best teacher voice. So why on earth did everyone do it completely differently?
Well, we've got a massive disconnect happening in the room, and it really all boils down to perspective. Think about your view as the teacher. To you, the expert in the room, the task is simple, it's totally obvious, you have this highly developed internal monologue running, you know the end goal, you know the context, and frankly, you've probably done this exact routine 100 times before. But contrast that with the student's experience. To them, the novice, this information is brand new. It completely lacks context, and because it's new, it feels inherently overwhelming. We often suffer from what cognitive psychologists call the curse of knowledge. It's this dangerous assumption that just because an instruction is clear in our own adult minds, it's going to be instantly decoded the exact same way by a room full of developing brains. It's honestly like speaking a fluent language to someone who literally just started learning the alphabet. When we are faced with this classroom chaos, our first instinct is usually to think, the students just aren't listening to me today. Or maybe we think they're acting out on purpose. But what's really interesting about this is how the science actually tells a completely different story. It shifts the focus entirely. It's fundamentally about information overload. You see, human working memory has incredibly strict limits. In fact, research shows that a young student's working memory can comfortably hold a maximum of only 3 to 4 new items at one time. That's it, just 3 or 4 things. So when we use long, rambling instructions, pack our sentences with unfamiliar words, and essentially dump this huge volume of data onto our students all at once, their cognitive circuits simply trip. They aren't ignoring you, they are literally lost in a flood of auditory information. Their brains just hit maximum capacity and shut down the intake valve.
Let's trace exactly how this happens in real time because it is a very predictable cause and effect chain reaction. Step 1. The teacher delivers instructions filled with extra conversational filler. We all know what this sounds like, right? Okay guys, if you could all just quickly quiet down, grab your things from your cubby, make sure it's the blue folder, not the red one, and then head back to your seats. Almost immediately, step 2 happens. The student's cognitive load absolutely spikes as their brain desperately tries to juggle all those conditional moving parts. By step 3, the working memory maxes out, resulting in lost attention. The brain essentially says, nope, I can't process this, I'm checking out, which inevitably leads us to step 4. The action is misaligned. They grab the red folder instead of the blue one, not out of defiance, but because the instructional chain broke down entirely at the cognitive level.
So, the crucial point is, how do we actually rescue our classrooms from this cognitive overload? How do we adapt our delivery so it matches how our students process information without, crashing their mental hard drives? Well, the research points us toward 3 foundational, highly effective interventions. We need to keep it short, we need to demonstrate, and we need to use a repeat back. These 3 strategies act as an absolute lifeline for educators. They form a super practical toolkit for cutting through the noise, respecting the real limits of human memory, and guaranteeing clarity. Instead of fighting against cognitive limits, these tools help you work seamlessly within them. Let's break down exactly how to execute each one of these game-changing strategies.
First up, keep it short, and I mean ruthlessly short. Listen to this instruction. Open to page 42 and answer question 1. That is it. No fluff. Compare that to how we normally speak in the classroom. Okay, everyone, if you could all please get out your green books, make sure your pencils are sharpened, and I want you to turn to page 42 and just look at the top where that first question is, right? All those extra conversational words are nothing but cognitive baggage. By delivering a stark, bold, direct instruction, you respect the strict limits of their working memory. You eliminate the white noise and give them a target that is practically impossible to miss. Editing yourself in real time is tough, for sure, but stripping away that filler is step 1 to true clarity.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because auditory instruction, even when it's short and beautifully concise, often just isn't enough on its own. We absolutely have to demonstrate. First, physically show the steps with your own hands or up on the board. If you want them to write their name in the top right corner, actually hold up the paper and physically point to the top right corner. Make it incredibly concrete. Second, present a visual model they can reference while they work. If they forget step 2, they shouldn't even need to ask you. The visual cue should be right there anchoring them. And third, reveal the final product. Show them exactly what success looks like before they even pick up a pencil. When you pair a short instruction with a crystal clear visual model, you are dramatically lowering the cognitive friction in the room. You are giving them a literal roadmap to success.
Our third strategy is the ultimate safety net. Have students echo the instructions back to ensure they've truly processed the information. We call this the repeat back. Never, ever ask the room, "Does everyone understand?" Because you will just get a sea of silent nods from students who are desperately hoping you'll just move on. Instead, make it specific and make it active. Say, "Sarah, what is the very first thing we're going to do when I say go?" Or have the entire class actively echo that one crucial first step together. This completely forces active cognitive processing. It moves the instruction from something they passively heard bouncing around the room to something they actively articulated. It acts as a super powerful, real-time check for true understanding before anyone has the chance to make a mistake.
If we were to boil this entire explainer down to a single, memorable equation, something to just keep in your mind every single time you stand at the front of a room, it is this. Clarity equals brevity plus modeling. The clearest, most well-managed classrooms in the world aren't built on long, eloquent, beautifully worded speeches. They just aren't. They're built on tight, concise directions paired directly with highly visible step-by-step models. By actively embracing brevity and combining it with intentional modeling, you systematically bridge that gap between your expert, high-level understanding and your student's novice, developing processing speed. You basically create an environment where doing the right thing is actually the easiest thing to do.
I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge today. Think about the instruction you have planned for tomorrow morning. Which specific strategy, keeping it ruthlessly short, physically demonstrating the model, or using an active repeat back, will you try this week to see a measurable change in student behavior? Now, don't try to change everything at once. Pick just one of these techniques, implement it intentionally. I guarantee you will see a reduction in the chaos, a huge boost in aligned action, and a much clearer, more confident classroom. Which really makes you wonder how much of what we label as bad behavior is actually just a natural response to bad instructions. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks some amazing changes in your classroom.